Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. This time going back into the EX2 stage of the Visions of COLEUS Beatdown Battle Rerun quest. Earlier, yesterday, I guess, technically, we did the Part 1 video with a bunch of blue teams plus the actual Visions of COLEUS meta. Today, we're going to be focusing on the teams that are not, well, mostly not blue stacking, and still can clear EX2 with relative ease. First off, we're going to start with the two collab teams that you may or may not have access to that came out after Visions of COLEUS was a thing. First being Overlord, the second being the Idols. Obviously, both of them have their ups and downs. The Idols probably better for this overall because they're invincible. But we'll start actually with Overlord because I have an agenda today. Also, because this is an old beatdown battle, I will have previously done videos when this originally came out last year, linked in the video description. So if these current meta teams don't work for you, I do have some videos using other older teams that could take this on back in November of 2023. So again, use this as a reference, use the video below as a reference. You should be able to find something that works for you. Should, with air quotes, right? Not everyone can do everything. What is that agenda, you ask? It is to make ALBEDO look good. Funny joke, right? So, Overlord came out, right? We got Ainz, we got Overlord Reamer, we got Shizu. Shizu and Reamer are very, very, very good. We got Shoutir and Nabe. Okay, well, along with ALBEDO. Ainz isn't really good for this stage, because the stage does not want you to crit. Okay, cool. We'll just take him off of the team. So that leaves us with Rimuru, Nabe for orb changing, Shoutir for the ult buff, some Despair and her ult rush ability and defense down, Veldora to help us get more gauge and be just another orb changer, Shizu because she's just really good and she's our triple ult swapper and buffer, and ALBEDO being a single target magic space character. Well, you can stun the stage freely. You don't have to lower his resistance or anything. You can stun with ALBEDO. So, we're going to attempt to make her look good. Quote-unquote attempt. So, turn one, obviously we're not running a blue team, we're running a green team. Greens are nerfed. We just have to send these 4 blue orbs and pray we get some better RNG next turn. We'll bring ALBEDO in. And because, maybe your gear isn't that great, maybe you need to offset a few things, because you can freely stun, once you get up in points and when you've been resetting and you've got the gauge increase buffs going, you can just start stunning Hinata every single turn, and it's not really going to hurt you. So orb change, we've got a stack of Reamer, which means we'll get some skill points back off of his hand, even though we have 0 right now, and we'll turn that off. And then we'll send these greens, and we'll send ALBEDO last. You can see that we didn't get a lot of gauge, but we got some skill points. Enough to where we can orb change, and, well, hopefully orb change, and use the green buff from Veldora, which is the more important thing. So blue convert, the special convert, which will hit the oranges. We'll bring Veldora in for Nabe. We'll use his green buff, and we can use one of the Despair skills. Shoutir's rushes her own ult. ALBEDO's gives greens extra ult gauge, and Despair is, that really shit damage over time, but also the 5% ult resistance down, which is a buff. It'll add up to a number by the end of it. But now that we've got the green buff going, we can reliably get decent gauge with Rimuru, which means that we can get extra skill points, which means we can reset, which is really what this team needs. So we're gonna take Shoutir out. I mean, you can get her nuke, but she's an AoE character. She's not type advantage. I wouldn't worry about it too much. But there's some more Despair. Boom, we have 60 points. Technically, yeah, there you go. We can start stunning. And now she'll never touch you again. She can't hurt you. ALBEDO made sure that Hinata cannot hurt you anymore from this point forward, unless you don't stun her. So, ult swap, cool. We'll bring, I think, Nabe in for Shizu, or, well, no, we'll use Nabe now, reset, and then we'll use her orb change, plus the more despair, plus another stun. Well, yes, stun? I think we bring Shoutier in first. Or we bring Veldora in, and we use his green buff. We do something with him. We gotta make sure the green buff is always active, though, because the greens are permanently nerfed, essentially, till the end of the... for 10 turns. We do want to make sure that we always have Veldora's buff active, even if it's not been reset. But you can see our green orbs are doing real bad damage, because they're nerfed by 80%. Thankfully, that's a pretty good hand. And we have another Rimuru. So we're on turn 6, we can alt swap away, we can bring Nabe in for Shoutier, or someone. Like, at this point it doesn't matter, Shizu has her ult. So, alright, we'll alt rush again, more despair, and then we'll take Shoutier out. And reset with everybody, or reset everybody with Rimuru, use the one orb change for Nabe, another stun, another stack of despair, up to 6 stacks now. Cool, that's what, 30% alt resistance down? You know, it does add up eventually. And now we got a kind of funny hand. But it's turn 7, we don't need to do much here, we can just convert and alt swap, and then use Rimuru again to reset. I believe we need to use Veldora one more time to ensure that we get some gauge. And we're going to stun. Boom. Again, Hinata has not hit at all. And making sure that if the Veldora buff is active, which it's not. So, in he goes. And 65 points is expensive. Doesn't really matter when we're getting like 400% skill point gain on greens now. So yeah, we're ready to go. 400 SP. It's just that because we are sending nerfed green orbs the entire time, we haven't really done a lot to Hinata, all things considered. So, we have an EX ult for Albedo and Shizu, and we have a normal ult for Shoutier. So let's orb change, make sure we can send a full hand of greens, and then bring them in, give him one more stack of Rimuru for the extra element buff, and then stun, despair, ult, more despair, and then the weakness strike and alt resistance down, where weakness strike actually does matter here. So, because Albedo is type advantage. Alright, Albedo. We'll watch this alt, and I'll try and pause it where we see her damage. Trying to make her look good, right? Trying. 686,000 damage. We didn't even kill. We did not even kill. Thankfully, Shoutier will also we'll make use of her animations and her ult, and she does end up killing. That was actually a lot less damage than what I was thinking we would get out of Albedo, everything considered. So, did we do it? Certainly we did. Did we take a lot of damage from Hinata? No, because Albedo kept her stunned. And if you were not ready to nuke and you wanted to go further, you totally could have, because you could have just kept her stunned the entire... You could have kept her stunned for 100 turns if you wanted to. But there's that. Let's move on. Alright, next up is the Idolmaster team with a few substitutions. So we've got Protector Rimuru, giving Pretty Sparkle allies the full invincibility, stacking magic attack, and changing 3 oranges and 3 blues to 6 greens. We've once again brought Veldora for that massive green buff. Tsubasa will be an orb changer if we need her, and an attack buffer. You don't need to bring Tsubasa, you could bring someone else if you really wanted to. Shizuka is going to be kind of necessary, Mirai is kind of necessary for their live modes and their other stacks, but we're going to forego Idol Shuna for Space Shinsha, because she is magic, she is space, she is single target, and she's on Pretty Sparkle, which means that she will get the full benefit of the team, and we'll have a type advantage nuker who will do more and more damage. We just don't have an alt swapper, which means that once we get alts, we just have to send them. There's no point in holding them, and our primary DPS isn't even an EX character. But still going at hyperspeed. Turn 1, obviously we can't do anything about it, but 4 blues will get us a protector on turn 2, which means that we will have enough points to use Veldora's buff and a live mode, and convert, hopefully, the hand into green orbs. And now we have Shinsha, so we left Veldora up front so we could use his buff. Rimuru passively resets skills, just kind of like how Maribel does, but only for the front line. So, we gotta send him away, and we'll use the Mirai live mode. I guess we don't send him away. Here, I think actually using the Shizuka live mode is more efficient because we get the attack stacks and we get the ult resistance down, so it's double helping. You probably should use her instead of having Mirai up front, but Mirai has protection gauge every 2 turns, so it works out pretty well. And we get all these Veldora orbs, which I mean is cool, so we're just going to send them. Since Hinata doesn't do that much damage to us, we're not really in danger, even if we do take a few hits. So now Veldora has his ult, but his green buff has been reset, which is the more important thing. So now we'll do this, and we'll just, again, send the Veldora ult. And again, you probably should actually be having Shizuka up front for her live mode and her weakness strike, rather than having Veldora and Mirai up front. It is what it is, though. So here, I mean, good. Look at that. Works out pretty well. We did use the Future Hand of Greens, though, in case you didn't catch that, because we're going to hyperspeed. But now we'll use Shizuka's live mode, ult resistance down. We'll use the weakness strike to heal up Shinsha. And now we're just going to do more and more damage. 27,000 on the Pierce. Shinsha, 71k. Not a lot of damage to start out with, but, you know, it's certainly something. And Shinsha, on top of being magic and space and single target and on Pretty Sparkle, she has an ult buff, which also has space resistance down attached to it. So once we get to a proper nuke turn, alongside all the stacking buffs we've had going on, we can also use that, and it will definitely help her do even more damage. Unfortunately, since we don't really do that much to begin with nerf greens, at least right now, it's going to take a while to get there. And this is a turn 10 clear, I believe? Question mark? I think it's turn 10. But Veldora has another ult. Okay, fine, whatever. We'll send him away. We'll use the Shizuka buffs. Boom, boom, another Rimuru. Perfect. We took no damage from that ult that she sent, so because we're invincible. So we'll send this. Turn 8 is the traditional nuke turn, but, I mean, we are technically ready to do it. Just not a great hand here, because it's a bunch of oranges. But we will use the ult buff, and we will attempt to do this. So we'll bring Tsubasa in. We'll use her attack buff, which is only at 20%. Not very strong, again, so you could swap Tsubasa out for anybody. She hasn't really done much anyways. 72k and another Pierce. 264k, I know it was very quick, but 264, not enough to kill. So that's why we have to go a little bit further on. So Tsubasa, I think, comes out of here. Or maybe not, we just send it. And we get another ult for Shinsha. We use the live mode for another little bit of attack buff. Now the greens are no longer nerfed, which is even better. And 27,000 a hit, because we've been stacking forever, means that now we are guaranteed to kill and still not really take any damage. So we've gone 2 turns, the ult buff has been reset, we'll send Shinsha, 266, and that is enough to kill right there. So the Idols, the Overlord team, both being green teams, both having the capability of killing with their own kind of quirks. Alright, and the true final team I'm going to show you is the Exalted Champions team. We just got done running 2 other green teams that are very much built for stacking. This team very much not built for stacking, but does have a natural space character on it, being Guy, even if he's AoE. We're going to bring Violet again for the magic buff. If you don't have her, you can bring Water Rain if you have to. Veldora, mainstay on all green teams at this point. Champion Rimuru, good for the attack buff, good for the ult swap. Guy's got the ult rush, the synergy buff, and then Milim is a single target damage dealer. While not being space, she's still very, very strong. Turn 1, as we had for the last 2 teams, we're just going to send the 4 blues. That gets us enough gauge, that gets for protection gauge, and then we'll get the 20 points from the blues, and then the 30 points just passively from Velzard, and that'll be a lot to do for next turn. And then we can ult rush, and then we could, I mean, this team doesn't really, it's not that difficult to do. We have a lot of power coming off of a very short-term burst team here, and we have the ability to ult rush, which is very, very important. So boom, 40 points right there. We'll bring Veldora in, we'll use his green buff, and then we'll bring Violet in, who technically, if you want to nuke with Violet instead of Milim, totally 100% doable. She's space, she's magic, she's a primal demon, she'll get the ult rush, she'll get the synergy buff, she'll get everything on this team that you need. It's just that, do you have Violet or not? And if you don't and you have Rain, well, Rain will get the synergy buff, and she'll have a little bit of a magic buff. Not nearly as much as Violet, though. But now, we do have to use the Alt Rush one more time, or we use Exalted Champion Rimuru to Alt Swap away. Whatever really works for you. And looks like I might do that instead. Either way, it would have worked out fine. So, yeah, Alt Swap, boom. We'll use the Alt Rush again anyways, why not? Cool. I mean, we would have gotten their alts anyway, but just to guarantee it. So this is turn 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have max points. So next turn we can use the Rimuru and Guy buff and then send those two away. And then on turn 5, we can full power nuke. Now, I don't think that's entirely necessary, but we're going to do it anyways. So buff, and then we'll send Milim and Guy out of here for Veldora and Violet. We'll burn this hand off, and we have enough points to use another green buff from Veldora, allowing us to get more points and allowing us to get more protection gauge. Not that we really needed it, but it's here for us. And we'll make sure that we send Violet last because she's got type advantage. Even though she didn't have the synergy or magic buff or attack buff that Rimuru had. And now we're ready to go. So there you go. There's 3 green teams that can take on EX2 Visions of COLEUS Beatdown Battle. I did record clips for the Tempest Elite team and the Prosper team, both of which were not very good, and I don't feel like putting it in the video. Prosper, I mean, you're pretty safe because it's blue and you've got the Super Guard and you've got the Revive and the Heal. It's just not a good team, and I don't think a lot of people summon for it, so I don't want to really show it off. But, if you have it, it'll work. It'll work fine. It'll just take you a little bit longer because the team is not type advantage and you're getting nothing from Maribel, essentially, except for the protection from the Guard, because Weakness Strike doesn't mean jack shit. So there we go. There's 3 more teams you can use to clear EX2 Visions of COLEUS Beatdown Battle. If there are any other teams that were not showcased here, or the yesterday's video, or the videos that I have linked in the comments from last year, put it in the comments, and other people can take a look at it. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I will see you all later.